Here we are with the B team going into week 6, and we have a very, 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 very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, Fireman Ed. Clap it up.
How are you guys?
We're
Good to
doing
be
great,
good.
Fireman Ed. This is awesome
Good,
that we're having you on. I appreciate your time.
good to see you. Good to be seen.
Absolutely. So I know you're happy. I know Gassie's happy. So let's get into it, man. I mean, listen, I didn't think anybody would have thought that the Jets were going 3-2 right away, right out the gate. But last Sunday, 40 burger against the Finns. What are your thoughts?
That's exactly right. The 40 burger. Well,
Yep.
listen. Honestly, when I looked at the schedule, and you're unsure of your team because it's a young team. I mean, it's just a very 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 young team, and Zach. We got to see what Zach is. I think Zach is good, and I wear the shirt proudly. Um, I thought they were after 8 games. I thought if they were 3-5, I would be happy with that because the last 9 games are there's a lot of winnable games there, and when you have a young team, it's gonna take. And with this new NFL, with the no preseason, they don't really play them that much. It's gonna take you, especially a young team, gonna take you anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks to really get your groove on and see where you're at. And you try to tread water, get through it, and then you see where you're at. And for us, it's coming a little faster than we thought, which, hey, I love it. That confidence level for a young team winning games like they're winning them is huge. So I think we're gonna have a good year.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that too, because I know when it came to rookies, like usually it takes about what 2, 3 years to finally like, get the chemistry going, get them on the right ship, get the offense looking good, because you know how putrid our offensives looked even since Darnold, even before Darnold. But you can see it's like a different tempo now, especially with LaFleur in. Like you got Brees, you got Sauce Gardner, you got Garrett, you got Eli, who's a second year guy, Michael Carter. Like they just fit so well together. Like all those pieces, it just flows. And you can see how much more explosive our offense has been. I mean, we could talk about the Gase era. Oh my God, terrible. But like now we actually have a pulse. Like we actually can compete with teams. I love it.
Well, you know what? We always wanted playmakers. We always wanted guys that teams look at and they have to scheme for, right? And in the past, we just haven't had it, especially the last decade.
Yeah.
And to see the young growth of these kids and what they could become, we're so excited because the future is so bright at this point. When you look at these kids, there's just one after the other, but it always starts up front. Okay, it always starts up front.
Absolutely.
And when you have the MVP right now after 5 games, I think everyone would agree that AVT is the MVP. AVT is the MVP. That'll be the new chant when I get back there in against the Patriots. We'll be doing AVT is the MVP
Mm-hmm.
because it's unheard of when you hear guys like Damon Woody, who was a perennial All Pro, okay, and he's making tweets saying what he's doing is just unbelievable. It just doesn't happen. You don't just go from a guard position, flip over to another guard position, then go to left tackle for a blind side, then go over to right tackle and have no pressures. I mean, it's unheard of. So, listen, it's exciting, and that's where it all starts. And then you got all these young kids that just are playmakers, and it's taking the pressure off of Zach.
Yep.
It's giving Zach a chance to get his feet wet. And believe me, Zach is gonna do a lot of good things. You'll see as time goes on.
What I love about the Jets this year is Zach doesn't have to be perfect. Like last year, they were in a spot where he kind of had to step up, be really good to get wins and kind of carry the team. But now that promise that Robert Saleh made to him on draft night, this team is going to lift you up, not the other way around.
Yep.
Now that's coming true. Because we saw Zach, what did he have? Like maybe 17 completions, 200 yards.
Yep.
Didn't do anything spectacular. Just took care of the ball and just made his throws when he had to. And the team around him got the job done.
Well, that was part of the Jets' weakness. I mean, what we did it with Sanchez, but they did surround him early on, and then took all his weapons away, and that's why he failed. That's a whole nother timeline that I have very. It's like it was yesterday for me, okay? Because I loved Mark. Now Mark didn't have nearly the talent that Zach has, and I thought Sam Darnold had tremendous talent, but he's a fine example of what the Jets could kill you. They destroyed Sam Darnold. They never gave him the weapons, and he got shellacked and is never the same. And I feel for him. But they made sure that this regime with Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, when they released Sam Darnold, they knew that when they were going to go get this kid at number 2, they were not going to make the same mistake that the Jets have made in the past. And now you're starting to see the fruits of their labor, and we're just in the beginning stages. So
and that's the thing too. Like you talk about Salah and Douglas, you have to give credit to Joe Douglas. I mean, from one cleaning up McCagnon's mess that he made with Darnold and the Le'Veon Bell contract, like Joe Douglas. Listen, his first draft wasn't pretty, but last year's draft, getting Zach, getting Eli, getting moving up in the draft to get AVT, like he just completely knew what holes that we had to fill, especially on the O line. Becton, I don't know. I mean, there's still some question marks about him, but just this year, every single rookie that he has drafted, even Max Mitchell, have all produced. They've all actually like had an effect on the game. Max Mitchell came in, played great when Fant went down and Becton went down. You have Sauce, Jermaine Johnson. He's another guy who's been doing well. Unfortunately, has an injury, but you could just tell like from where he came up from with Ozzie and the Philadelphia Eagles, that Super Bowl team, like he just knows how to build a championship caliber team. And listen, this is giving us Jets fan hope. I mean, you can't crap on him for the recent drafts that he's had. I mean, they're all producing, and it's really good to see as a Jets fan. I love it.
And remember, there's also guys that he signed as unrestricted free agents and picked up guys off of waiver wires. You got Braxton Barrios. You got Brandon Mann, who was in that draft class, the first one.
Yeah.
That kid's all of a sudden, he had one bad week. I mean, I went after him. I'm right behind the bench, so I went after Brandon pretty good. I mean, listen, I never get derogatory, but I let them know the disappointment. I let him know the disappointment so much that Michael Carter, the kid, the run back, said something. He says, Eddie, he said, Fireman, relax. And I said, I know he's trying, but they're killing us. I said, him and Zerline are killing us in the first game of the year. And when at the same token, he goes on the road the second week, he could have been the MVP on that game, okay? Because he made the fake punt, threw that pass. He made tremendous punt inside the 10. He kicked the onside kick. That kid was the MVP of that game, all right? And I made sure when he came home for Cincinnati, I grabbed him before the game, and he didn't want to look over at me, and then he did. Then he smiled and I said, you were the MVP last week. I said, you did a great job. Great bounce back. I said, I have confidence in you. Let's go. Let's go. And listen, I'm just a fan, but these guys, they listen. They listen to believe me, they're human beings, and you know what I mean? When you bring it and you bring a positive attitude, I don't bring a negative attitude to them.
Ever.
But you call them out when it happens. And, then you get over it, and you're the first one to congratulate them when they're doing something. So he's really been special. So they've done a lot of things, Joe Douglas. There's a lot of different moves. If you look at some of the different things along the way, he's made some real good moves that have influenced this team, not just the draft.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Another name that comes to my mind is Quan Alexander.
Yeah.
He had an up and down career before the Jets, but so far this year, he's been great for us.
Another solid prodigy from the Niners.
Solid guy. Quan, we got him for peanuts.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, the way he's playing, I think they're crazy not to sign him. I'd sign him to a 2-year deal. You probably could sign him for a decent amount of money and get him in the fold long term, because he's a guy He's our best linebacker. I'm disappointed. Honestly, I don't know if C.J. Mosley's hurt, but I'm not. C.J. Mosley, when I look at him on film, he's not the guy that I seen when we signed him a couple of years ago. Now, remember, he didn't play. Got hurt the first year, right? Was playing well in that first game. Second year, he sits out because of COVID. He plays last year. I don't see the contract that we're paying him. I don't see it. Now, I always judge guys overall, and we don't know what. Here's what we don't know. What we don't know, meaning we're fans, so we don't get that privy to what's going on with these guys' injuries. They don't tell the whole story. Okay, so there's a part of me that thinks there's something the matter because he's not reacting like I've seen him react in the past. You know, when you see Quan Alexander, you see the way he's reacting to the ball. That's how C.J. Mosley always was. Mm-hmm. He's not playing the same. Just look on the film and watch him. You'll see.
Yeah. So when you talk about the defense, I know the first like 2 weeks, everyone was really bashing Jeff Ulbrich. What are your thoughts about him?
Well, I think it was rightfully deserved. I mean, I'm still not crazy, and I'm not sold on their rotation is driving me out of my mind. Now, I just looked at the numbers today, and now you got Lawson and Quinnen are up over 70% of snaps. Now, they were as low as 58, 57% of the snaps. I mean, as of last week, I think Quinnen had 59% of the snaps. That's insane. You can't, those guys are your best players. They got to be on the field more. Now, I'm not saying they got to be on 90%, but I think a fair number is 75 to 80% of the time. They should be on. They should be on three quarters of the time. They should be on that field. If not, 80% of the time. And I don't think that's too much to ask. I do believe that, listen, it was 4 weeks. They're starting to play him more. I told you when we started talking, it takes 4 to 6 weeks to see what we have and see where this rotation is going. I believe they need to play Bryce Huff more. He's got to play more. He's a talented kid that makes a lot happen. Rankins is starting to play real well. They're starting to get their footing. Listen, you got some new players in there on the defensive end of the ball. It takes time. I understand that. But Ulbrich definitely should be questioned because, listen, you can't be a defensive coach. Saleh was needed to be questioned. If you look at my Instagram, you see that. Fireman Ed 42 is my Instagram. If you see some of the things, you go back and you'll see some of the things I say about it. Saleh is a huge defensive coach. He can't be 32nd in the league.
No.
All right. We were 32nd last, and we start out the year, and especially at home, we're giving up major yardage. I mean, two good offensive teams, but no, you can't lose by double digits at home. Your defense got to keep you in the game. The offense eventually makes it happen, right? So, yeah, I question them. They're playing better, as you're seeing. The last 2 weeks especially, that defense is starting you can see they're starting to get their groove. They're starting to get it, especially the back end. Our middle of the field was killing us. Joyner and Whitehead were killing us the first 2-3 weeks. They were murdering us. The middle of the field was a disgrace. Starting to tighten up, seeing much better play coming out of there. Now, if C.J. Mosley can go back to where he's at, I don't know if he's got an injury with his stomach. There's something going on there that they're not talking about. So, Ulbrich is starting to make a move a little bit here. It's going to be interesting this week. We're going to see what they're going to do. We cannot let Green Bay – listen, Aaron Rodgers is going to get his yardage. It's going to happen. You got to weather that. You can't let them run the ball down your throat. You cannot let Dylan and Aaron Jones run the ball down your throat. If that happens, he's going to make big plays down the field. They got to do exactly what they did with the Dolphins. If you got to play a 3 safety set, you play. You don't let them beat you. But they don't have the weapons that the Dolphins have. So you might be able to come up with the safety because your corner should be able to cover those guys down the field. You
Yeah.
know, the
Yeah. And
low.
the thing is too, like, it's interesting because the secondary, like they play a lot of zone, and especially with those two, DJ Reed and Sauce, like for me, I would like to see them play a little bit more man because I know that Ulbrich likes to really run cover two, cover threes. I mean, you drafted him fourth overall, you know he can play man. And I mean, listen, they're getting what they're doing what they have to do, but listen, the Jets have always been that team that they always get bashed for their run defense and everything. I understand they were 32nd in the league, but they're stopping the run this year. Besides last week against Mostert, I mean, they've done a phenomenal job. They're really, like you said, their rotation's getting a little better. They're putting in Huff. Quinnen's playing more. So personally, I think Ulbrich needs to play a little bit more man and be confident that Sauce and DJ Reed can do something.
And I'll be honest with you, I think that's coming. I think it's coming. I think it's a work in progress. I think everything that you're saying is true. I
Yeah.
do agree with that. I agree with every point that you have to say about it, and I do think it's coming. I think we're in the early stages of what we're seeing right now. Remember, preseason they didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got 5 weeks under our belt. We're in week 6. This is when you should be seeing the progress, and I do think we're seeing the progress of the defense along with the offense.
Mm-hmm.
I listen. The sky's the limit.
Oh, yeah.
I still believe that our linebackers are our weak link. I mean, other than Quan Alexander, I think Quincy and Mosley are our weak link. If you have a weak link on that defense, that's where you could start right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that would Joyner, but Joyner's shut me up the last couple of weeks. He's played real well, real well. And Whitehead, I expected to play well, and he will. That's a matter of time. It's all about communication, man. It's knowing where you are and having the trust in the guy that he's going to be where he's supposed to be. So, that's a work in progress. But listen. You got to be excited. You're 3-2. The Jets are 3-2. There's nobody going to tell me they thought they were going to be 3-2 after 5. I think you're full of shit. I would tell them you're bullshit. You're full of shit. Now, excuse my language, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And the sky's the limit right now. You stay healthy. We don't even have a consistent 5 on the offensive line yet. Okay? We got AVT bouncing all over the place. But that offensive line that they showed last week, that might be our best offensive line that they're going to put out there. I got news for you. It might be. Mm-hmm. It very well might be. I mean, Faint's going to play when he comes back. George is going to play. Nope. So what they're going to do is they're going to put Faint back at the right side, and they're going to put AVT back at guard, and probably Herbig will be the one sitting. But Herbig he's nasty. He's nasty. He's nasty.
I agree.
I see him on the sideline. I talk to him. He's nasty. He's got nastiness of you see. He's just like he's ornery. Like he just wants to kill you. When he looks at you, he wants to kill you.
Yeah, he's Eagles lineman, man. I can see it. He's got that Eagles pride in him, man.
There was another pickup. There was another one that when I said about Douglas, he picked him up. They cut him. He picked him up.
He's been playing well. I agree with you.
Yes. So it's exciting. Very exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah, Smaller.
So the Jets are 3-2 in October. I don't think anybody thought they would be. And next week, going into Lambeau, going to play Aaron Rodgers with a chance to come out of that game 4-2 in October. This feels like the most meaningful football the Jets have played in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
This feels like the biggest game the Jets have been in maybe 5 years.
And I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I bought my tickets. It's funny. I bought my tickets the night of the schedule release. I have 3 devices out. They come out with this schedule. I know I'm going to Green Bay. If they're playing a certain time of the year, I was going because there's times I can't make it. So comes out October 16th. I go, mother. So I start rolling. They don't even have their tickets out yet. They didn't even have them released yet. So when and remember, Green Bay, you can't get tickets to Green Bay. Green Bay is very hard You could get tickets, but you ain't getting good ones. I wanted seats right behind the bench. I mean, I wanted to go on the first row, and I'm paying. It's okay, I'll pay, but I want it. Anyway, best I could do was 8th row up from the 50-yard line. All right. And there wasn't a lot of them. I mean, there's not a lot of them. And they're crazy numbers. I paid over $600 for each seat. But I'm going to the game. I'll be there Sunday. So I'm excited. Awesome. Really excited to go to Green Bay. If you ever get a chance to go to Green Bay, you got to go to Green Bay. It truly is the home of football. And they're good people.
Yeah.
They treat you very well when you go there. No nastiness. None of that.
Yeah, it seems like a place where it's not really like that hostile in an environment with the people.
No. The Midwest most of the Midwest is like that. Most of it.
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis is pretty good. Cleveland, believe it or not, is not bad. Cleveland's pretty good. Denver, not so much. Denver's nasty. They're nasty.
Yeah.
They're
do you have a favorite stadium so far?
Green Bay is absolutely my favorite as far as fan and just the whole aura of football. Yeah. Like when you roll into Green Bay, I'll just give you an example. You roll into Green Bay, right? Green Bay's in the stadium's in the middle of nowhere. So you go on the highway and you come off the Vince Lombardi Drive. And as you're coming off the highway, it's all wheat fields and all, cornfields, whatever. And all of a sudden you see the stadium and you see in big gold letters, it says, "Welcome to Lambeau Field." And then as you're rolling, home of the Green Bay Packers. Mm-hmm. It's outstanding. I mean, it's just it just is. It's that outstanding. So very exciting. I love that place, and I love Cowboy Stadium. Phenomenal. Cowboy Stadium. As far as the newest stadiums, there's nowhere compared to that. There's nothing compares to that. I have not seen a stadium that compares to that. Not that one.
Jerry World. Yeah, Jerry World is so good.
All marble. Marble everywhere. It's insane. Insane. I couldn't believe it. I mean, when you lean for standing room only, right? So you lean on a ledge like to put your beer or something. It's marble. Mm-hmm. Marble. Marble floors. Floors are marble. Unbelievable. Like incredible, really. And outstanding. It's just an outstanding stadium. I can't say enough good about the Cowboy Stadium. Hey, you don't have to like the Cowboys, but you're full of shit if you say that stadium is that stadium is the real deal.
Muller, have you been to that stadium yet?
I've been there once, but it was in the off season, so I haven't seen a game at down there in Jerry World, AT&T. But I gotta get down there and see a game because that stadium's beautiful. Just walking around it on the field, and Jerry, his box, I don't know if you knew this, but it actually has wood that they had to import in. And if you get like a splinter, you have to actually go to like the hospital. Like it's not something that he's just messing around with his box. He's got the nicest stuff up in there.
Yeah, he did it up right. I mean, he could talk about Jerry. Jerry did it up right. That's the bottom line. So yeah, that's one of my favorites. Those two are great venues. The miserable stadiums of the Raiders. Well, now they're in Vegas, so I haven't been there yet. The miserable stadiums of Foxborough, Gillette Stadium it's a nice stadium, but they are miserable, rotten, no good. They're no good. Yeah. They are no good. The Boston fans, they're nasty. Hey, we're nasty, but they're just too much, man. They're too much. I'll tell you a quick story. We're playing a playoff game when we beat them when we went to the championship game. Remember, we were 14-point underdog in 2012. They had beaten us in December 45-3 in the regular season. So we wind up, they go 14-2 in the season. We go 12-4. We got to go on the road with a wild card with 12 wins. And we go on the road. Well, we had to go to Peyton Manning first. So we beat Peyton. He had knocked us out of the championship game the year before. So now we're going back and we play Peyton Manning first game. Now we go to Brady. We go up to Gillette Stadium. So I go up there. I'm at the Peyton game. Then I'm over at Gillette. So I'm on first row. I buy tickets with my buddies, 600, 650 for the seats. Get them. Anyway, I call up Robert Kraft. I call the Jets and say, because I met Mr. Kraft years ago. And he says, if you're ever up in the stadium, he said some really nice words to me. So I'm not going to get into it because then you'll be thinking I'm cocky and I'm full of shit and whatever. But he said some really nice things. Anyway, he says, if you're ever up in Gillette, he goes, you look me up, you tell the Jets and you tell them and they'll get in touch with me. I say, okay. I call the Jets. So I'm coming up for the playoff game. I go up for the playoff game. I get in there a couple hours early. He's on the field walking with Bon Jovi. I'm on the field. I put, I don't have my gear on. I always hide it. And then I put it on when I get in the stadium, right? Okay. So I put my gear on. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Right. So I see one of the security guards at the field go, hey, fireman. Look, I said, all right, what do I do now? Right. He goes, Mr. Kraft is looking for you. So I see him. He's waving to me. And he goes, fireman, you have a good time today. Good to see you, right? I said, thanks a lot, Mr. Kraft. With that, here comes three monsters come down the aisle. Three huge monsters come down the aisle. He says, listen, we're right there. He says, we have a little perch there. He goes, Mr. Kraft wants you to have a good time today. He goes, everything's on him. He says, who you with? He says, drinks, food, everything's on him. He goes, he wants you to have a ball today. Little did he know that we were going to beat him. So we wind up beating him. We're a 14-point underdog. We beat him. The moral of the story is, them bastards didn't want me to leave that stadium. The security, when they came down after the game, says to me, we got to escort you off the field. Going to go on the field. We got to go in the players' locker room because they want to lynch you. They want your helmet. The helmet's a bounty on your helmet. No bull. That's a true story. Okay, so I went out. I put my stuff in my little bag that I had, and I put just a baseball cap on it. I walk out. I can't get to the car fast enough to start partying my ass off because, we beat these mother effers. I was thinking we were going to be world champs after that game. And that's the story.
And that was the Bart Scott can't wait interview, huh?
Can't wait interview, man. That was great. I mean, Braylon Edwards come over and Sean Green, and it was a big party, man. A big party.
I'm shocked that they didn't give you the bill after the Jets won.
Yeah.
Say, you know what? I changed my mind.
Mr. Kraft has been very good to me, so I have nothing bad to say about him. I actually really love the guy, so I got nothing bad to say about him.
Good. So we have about 5 more minutes here, I think.
Okay.
Each of us get one more question, and then we'll say our goodbyes. But this has been great so far. I'm really enjoying this.
Good.
Muller, I think you had a good question.
Oh, yeah. So going off of – it's perfect, actually, because we were just talking about getting an invite to somewhere. But Chad Ochocinco, I read somewhere once offered you a trip out to Cincinnati for a playoff game.
Yep.
And, like if you want to elaborate on it.
Yep. What happened was he was talking about that when they had to beat us to get home field advantage, okay? And we knocked them off and we got in the playoffs. Once again, we had to go on the road because of Brady and winning so many games, so we had to go on the road. Anyway, before that game was a Sunday night game. And he said, he told the media, he says, when we beat them, I'm going to make my own fireman helmet, and I'm going to do the Bengal chant on the goalposts in the game. It's in papers. You can see it anywhere. So you got to Google it. So he says, I'm going to show that fireman. So anyway, when the game went, it was a freezing cold day. I mean, murderously cold. We shut them out. I think we beat them 34-0. And I had to listen, thank you to the fans, but I had the place in a tizzy. They were going crazy. So what he did was he literally got in touch with me, found my number. I was actually on a roof. I was doing Christmas lights. I was up on a roof and my phone rings and it's a 305 area code from Florida. I answer it. it's fucking Chad Ochocinco. He goes, hey, Fireman Ed, it's Chad Ochocinco. I said, yeah. He goes, yeah, it's me. I said, what are you doing? He goes, I got your number. He goes, listen, I want to personally invite you. He goes, I know what I said. He goes, you guys beat our ass fair and square. Well, we drew Cincinnati the following week, but we had to play out there in Cincinnati because we were a wild card. They were a division champ. We go over there. I mean, he says to me, I would love to have you and your family, first class, everything. Come out, be my guest in Cincinnati. I owe you that. I says to him, man, I said, that is unbelievable. It's awesome. I said, but I can't do it, bro. I says, you're the other team. I said, I would look like the horse's ass if I took a trip from another team. I said, I can't do that. If the Jets did it, it'd be different. So he goes, oh, I'm just letting you know if you change your mind. So with that, I get invited down to Showtime down in Cherry Hill, the NFL headquarters. I go down to Showtime, was with Phil Simms at the time, and was Warren Sapp and James Brown. They were all doing the show. Chris Collinsworth. So I go down for the show. They invite me down to the show. I'm doing it because, you know, they had me down on in the film. Anyway, they surprised me. They had Chad on the screen. And he talked to me, goes, it still stands. You want to come to Cincinnati? So it was great. It was great. And that did happen. And Chad is a good guy. I like Chad a lot. A lot of respect for him. He was some ball player.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And he never got in trouble. Like, I never got in trouble. He was just a character. He was an outright character and a great player. Great player.
You're not wrong, Fireman Ed. You're not wrong. But yeah, so honestly, we're getting low on time on our Zoom call, but Fireman, This has been awesome. I thank you so much. You are probably our greatest guest by far. So
I appreciate it. Listen, I try to give you guys some nuggets, some stories, and they really are true. I mean, I'm showing my age. I'm 63. Been doing this since 1986. And I stepped away a couple of years because of these stupid smartphones. You know, you have these idiots in the stands that decide they're gonna, you know, throw beer on you or ketchup and then have their friends film you. You know, I wasn't used to that. You got to remember, these things didn't come in existence till like 08 or 09. So I stepped away, and then I realized I got to come back. They weren't. The chant was going by the wayside, and I said that ain't happening. So I came back.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Fireman Ed.
I appreciate it.
This has been awesome. So I thank you again, guys. I mean, this has been great. So
anytime.
Yeah, this is
Thanks
awesome.
for coming
Thank
on.
you.
It was awesome.
I'll come back anytime for you guys. Good luck.
All right, we'll talk to you.
Wish you all the best.
All right, thank you, Fireman Ed. Have a great one.